Hello everybody and welcome to this first YouTube video on my YouTube channel. So recently I just wanted to do a little bit of Formula 1 concept car stuff, and I finished modeling my car and then I wanted to texture it, but I didn't really find any texture tutorials online that could help me in my situation. So I thought, why not just make one? So first of all, I'm going to hide all the stuff that I don't need right now. So yeah, I just want to paint the basic body, the chassis. So our first step when texturing is to UV unwrap, and therefore we can go to in the edit mode, and now I'm going to use an option that's working pretty good. So I'm gonna select all by pressing A and then hitting U on the keyboard, and then I'm going to click on Smart Project. All these default settings are pretty good, so I'm gonna click OK. And then when we hit over to the UV editing tab, we can see that we have a pretty decent texture. And then we can go over to the texture paint tab, and now we have on this side the Formula 1 car chassis model, and on the other side this other basic model. So for texture painting we first need to create a texture, so we hit this plus icon right here, choose base color, and then I'm going to name the texture chassis texture, like that. And then on the resolution, we need a pretty high resolution, as we have many different parts, as you can see right here. And in order to have very sharp textures on the model, we need to have a very high resolution. So I'm going to go with an 8K resolution, which is already pretty high. So yeah, you can select both width and height by clicking on width and then hovering over height. So both is selected, and then you can press times 8. 1000 is 1K. So yeah, rounded. And then by times 8 you have an 8K resolution, pretty simple. And for a basic color, I'm first of all gonna choose white. We can change it later on, and then we can click on OK, and now the texture is completely on our model in this tab. And then we can also go into this tab and then select chassis texture right here, and then we also have it in this texture view. First of all I'm going to make the model entirely black. So therefore we will create a new color palette and then select a totally black color in this color picker, and then press plus, so we have the black color on our color palette. Then select it, go to the fill icon, then select it again, and then click on the model. I'm only going to show all my techniques on the front part, or also probably a little bit on the middle part, but not on the entire car, because I just want to show you some techniques that I used and not the entire texturing process, because that would take a very long time and would just not be sensible. First I want to paint the front here in white. And therefore we first choose a white color right here and add it to our color palette, and then we can go into side view, and I'm going to make this viewport a little bit bigger. So basically we first want to paint a line to separate the area that we want to paint from the area that we don't want to paint. And if we try it with our basic brush, we see that the line isn't really smooth and not really nice to look at. So we will try it again, but we will check this stabilize stroke button in this stroke menu, and with that we can click, and in the beginning it's not gonna draw, but then we can draw very stable and very smoothly, and through that we can get a very nice and smooth line. Something I just forgot to mention is that you should always, when you draw on something symmetrical, like for example this car, you should check this mirror option, so it will also draw on the other side. We will draw this line once again, and now it's also drawn on the other side, which is very helpful. And now I'm just going to finish it at the top right here, just like that, and then also finish it up to the middle. So in the next step I'm going to paint the front completely in white color. Probably there might be a faster method, but yeah, it just worked for me. So I'm going to choose a very sharp brush and scale up my brush by pressing F, and then you can scale up, or you can scale it up the radius right here as well. And yeah, then just paint. So something that's also very important to know is you can save the image right here under image and then save as, and then when you click on this fake user button, the texture is always saved when you save the blend file, and also when you close Blender. So that's very useful in the case that Blender crashes, your entire painted texture is not lost. So now we're basically finished with painting the entire front in the wished color. So probably it's not perfect. For example, right here there are a few black spots as well, but it doesn't need to be completely perfect because the smallest details will not be visible in the final render. So yeah. So the second method I want to show you is not very straightforward, but it works. So we go on to this layout window right here. We will add an Bezier curve, go into edit mode, and then we will model a basic curve that we would like to paint on the side of our car. So I'm pretty happy with that curve. So in this curve menu we are going to bevel it right now. Hit N to bring up the side controls right here, and then we can adjust the radius. For example, on the front here I'm going to give it a radius of 0, and also on the end, so it nicely fades out and fades in. So for the visibilities in renders, I'm going to turn off everything except of the Bezier curve. And now I'm going to add a camera right here, and then Control Alt Numpad 0, and we can move it to the view, and then the type I'm going to choose an orthographic, and then adjust the orthographic scale so it fits perfectly to our curve. Probably also grab it on the y-axis, and then we will, for the background, we will set the strength to 0, and for the curve I'm going to give it a emission material. And now if we render the whole thing, we get a black and white texture, which we can use as a mask for the texture. So save it, and now we can again delete the camera and delete the curve as well. And when we now go into the texture painting, tab again and select the model and move into texture paint. Into the tab we can duplicate the brush, call it mask brush, and under texture we can make a new one, go to the texture tab and open the render that we just saved. So now we have it in here, and under the drawing properties for texture painting I will change the mapping to stencil, so we have it right on here. And then something that's very important, so the proportions are right on the screen right here. The resolution of the picture is 1920 by 1080. So in the Y size of the text on the viewport, we will type in 1920 divided by 1080, and now the texture has the perfect proportions as we rendered it out. And now we will move one again to the texture tab, and then under colors we will check color ramp, and under alpha we will check calculate. So now we have everything except our white part transparent. And now I want this line to be red, so I'm going to give it a nice red color, something like that. And then with shift and right click we can scale it up, and with right click we can move it. So we will adjust it right now so it fits as we thought. So something like that. And now I'm going to add this red color to the color palette by clicking plus, and then I'm just going to paint over the red line. So now it's finished, and then we can again select our basic brush, and we have this line perfectly painted on here, very smoothly and looking pretty decent, as I think. And now the third method I've used is that I textured some logos of some companies on here. So I just searched in the internet for some textures, and if you did that, you can import them into Blender. So we can again select our mask brush and then go to the texture tab, and then using this button right here we can open the textures or the logos of the companies. So for my car I wanted it to be a Porsche F1 car, which actually isn't in the F1 right at the moment, but I thought it would be a nice idea. So and as you can see we have a resolution of 2560 by 267, and under this size thing we're going to type in 2560 divided by 267. So now it perfectly fits, and as you see we have now a lot of Porsche logos. And now to solve that we can go to the texture properties, and then under mapping as an extension we can choose accent, and now we just have the Porsche logo. And yeah, our color ramp settings from before just worked. I also pulled this white one more to the black one, so the white is more saturated. Going to side view and scale it again with shift and right click, and with control and right click you can rotate it, and by that you can align it perfectly. And then I also want that logo to be red, so I'm going to select the red color and paint entirely over it, and now it's finished. Alright, so that's for the basic logos. I can also do it for some other logos up here, like the rotation is also adjustable right here. So we will set the angle to 0 and then go into top view. Yeah, actually the angle should be 90 degrees. Yeah, exactly. And then we will select the black color. Then we will place the logo right where we want it, and then I will deselect this symmetry icon and then paint the logo on the mesh, which is now pretty nice and pretty sharp as well. Yeah, and by using these methods a little bit further, like on many other logos and also on a little bit of red on the back right here. I ended up with a pretty decent texture, as I think. And then I did a little bit of tweaking in the shading settings. So I went up into the shading tab, and then automatically our chassis texture is used for the base color in the principled BSDF shader, and that's alright. We want this principled BSDF to be metallic, not completely metallic, but pretty metallic. Yeah, the roughness, the specularity and everything is alright, but we also want to have clear coat, so that's like this car surface which looks pretty nice. And then one other thing I also did on this texture is that I added another principled BSDF, and then by clicking Ctrl+Shift+D we can open up our files, and then we can search for a texture, and yeah, I used carbon texture, so yeah, I'm going to cut this displacement right now, and then I used the chassis texture, so Shift-D to duplicate, and Ctrl+Shift and click to view only this texture, and then with the color ramp it's just black and white, and then I cranked up the white value very, very much, so we have the black parts of the texture totally disconnected from the other colors. And yeah, we can use that with a mix shader, and then we can mix the principled BSDF with this nice carbon texture and use this as a factor, and then Ctrl+Shift+Click. That's the wrong way. Yeah, and now it's totally nice that we have all the black parts in this carbon texture and the rest, yeah, in the usual color and not in this carbon style look, which I think is very cool. I'm going to scale it up on the mapping on something like 50 so it fits. Yeah, and that's very cool, because now we have on this side here the red and the white color is not with this carbon look, but the black parts are in this carbon look, which I think looks really cool. And with some further tweakings of the texture, we end up with renders like that. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about this tutorial in the comments. I'm very looking forward to hearing from you, because it was my first tutorial and I hope you understood at least a little bit. I would really appreciate a like of yours on this video, and probably you even want to subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video, probably. Bye!